Ultra 85 by Logic has finally dropped. This is an album that sort of has mythic status in Logic's career up until this point. I first became a Logic fan in around 2015, 2016 I want to say. That's when I really got into his music and started listening to all the mixtapes and all the albums. And I feel like even back around then, Ultra 85 was being talked about as, you know, the most hyped Logic project. I will say, straight off the bat, there is one main concern I have going into this album, and that concern is that this is basically just a standard Logic album that just so happens to have the title Ultra 85, and I feel like this is probably very different, I'm assuming, to what the project would have been if it did come out in 2017, 2018, whatever. I've not kept up with the whole rollout for this, so maybe there are some singles that dropped that has a lot of people hyped for the project. I'm not too sure, so hey, if it is a good album, I'll be happy with that. And for what it's worth, I have enjoyed Logic's recent output. While I don't think it's had the most crazy amount of replay value for me, Vinyl Days and College Park, solid projects. I enjoy them. That's enough rambling. Let's get into the album. We're starting off with track number 1, which is a 9-minute long song. So we're having a grand opening right here. It's track number 1, Paul Rodriguez.
I'm Paul Rodriguez and I approve this message. What's up, what's happening, bitch, we live. Probably thought you never see the day of Ultra 85. It's been a minute, but baby, yeah, now we in it. I was scared for years to try to do this album. How you follow up a classic, what's the outcome? Failure and tragedy, now everybody's mad at me.
He's starting off good. He's starting off good.
Fuck the shit they be talking about, we practice what we preach, we walking it out, no, ain't no doubt. No, I'm on the grind like Rodriguez. Used to want hip-hop to love me, cause when I was a child, both of my parents would neglect me. I talk about it in therapy often, but I'm smoking till I'm coughing, self-medicate to the coffin, cause in the end we all 6 feet, so I'ma be catching wreck to the day I die on these 6 beats. Cut off my legs below my knees and still can never defeat me, black and white like 88 pianos.
Logic is snapping so far. I think this is a really solid verse. I love the production, the kind of feeling that this beat has to it. I think this is what Logic does best. He showcases his very fluid flow, but I also feel like he's touching on some cool points here.
Like Fontano's rocking a yellow flannel. Y'all can't see me like Metal Gear Solid with the camera. Confident, never cocky. Don't talk to me till you made it. Debate it all you want, but we know this shit is off the hook. Get after it, get at it. Don't none of y'all want this static. Why you acting dramatic? This ain't no gangster.
Semi-automatic.
They call Logic the voice of a generation. Sipping scotch, facing a blunt. Sometimes I talk about the real shit.
The sample, the vocal sample in this beat has big young Sinatra vibes to me.
This for Nas, this for RZA, this for Jay, this for Most, this for Thought, this right here for Kanye. Even when he be wildin' out, man, I'm listening.
Been doing a bit more than wildin' out lately.
I can't believe it, used to wish I could achieve it. Never thought the day would come that I would see it. Not the cameras, not the chains, but the happiness. It makes me sad that so many in the game will never truly know what happy is.
It's been a big theme in Logic's recent music about fame not bringing him happiness and happiness being something outside of that. I feel like it's something he still grapples with a little bit.
Like Ho said, can I live? Hey, check it, it's that Lupe in 06, this that Lupe last week. I made $30 million 6 years ago. This ain't about the money and the fame, it's about the fucking flow, the love, the music, the people, the drums. Ultra 85. Welcome to the motherfucking future.
Got the Pimp C sample going.
So, you're my new partner, huh?
Yes, sir. The name's William Kai, first officer and man of infantry.
Yep, that's me, Quentin Thomas. Pleasure to meet you.
Prequel more so.
Well, if I can be honest, sir, this is my first time leaving Babel.
No shit. Well, don't worry. I brought music.
Okay, interesting. So this feels like it's more so a prequel to The Incredible True Story, and it's basically doing quite a similar thing to that, where the skits kind of set up the rest of the album, which I think is a solid way to make sure that not every single track needs to be about this concept of, you know, Thomas and Kai's journey. Not everything needs to be focused on the theme of the story, because some of this music is basically just what they're listening to while they're on the journey. It was a similar thing with The Incredible True Story. It's like, oh, I've got this music, let's listen to it. And it's the same kind of setup here, but I think it actually works as a nostalgic callback, with this being a prequel. But I think this track was a great one. I mean, Paul Rodriguez is going down on the favorites list already, which is... that's how you want to start a project. Being a 9-minute long song, there weren't too many bars that I would say are just like typical filler Logic bars. You know, that was one of my biggest criticisms for stuff like Confessions of a Dangerous Mind, Bobby Tarantino 3, I just felt like the lyrical content didn't really hit because a lot of it felt repetitive or kind of like a lot of words that didn't really say all that much. Here, I feel like everything stayed close to the concept. Logic was just flowing beautifully over production that sounded great. And like I said, I love when Logic just talks about hip hop because it's so clear that that's what he's passionate about when he's talking about other rappers and people who inspired him and just his passion for the game in general. You can really feel that he does care about it. That's raised my hopes a little bit for the project, to be honest. It's up there in terms of like Logic's best intros. That's what I want from Ultra 85. So let's see if we continue that, going on to track number 2, Mission Control, featuring T-Man the Wizard. This one is showing streams on Spotify, so it must have been a single, but I haven't heard it yet. I've heard that beat before. What is that? That Gucci Mane sample. Okay.
Open up the rhyme book and read the composition. I could truly give a fuck about the competition. Got out the hood, then got money in addition. I remember when that boy ain't had no pot to piss in. Report for dismission, everything I ever thought of it came to fruition. King of the transition. Ooh. We never switch and peep the acquisition. I remember that they didn't even want to listen. Now we cooking, we ain't even in the pocket kitchen.
Not a sample I was expecting at all. Even had the Gucci ad-lib at the end. Honestly, Mission Control is exactly what I think was needed after Paul Rodriguez. You have that 9-minute long opener. It's always a good idea to kind of, you know, in terms of structure, to just follow that up with something that's a bit quicker and energetic. And that's what we got with Mission Control, which sampled Lemonade by Gucci Mane of all things for the production with those piano keys. Logic had a nice short verse on this one where I think he sounded pretty sharp. There was just something about Logic's delivery that sounded very focused on this one. The bars were just concise and each one connected. The flow was a little bit more steady on this one. That was a really fun track. So let's see what we get going on to the next one. This is track number 3, another single that I have not heard, Deja Vu, featuring DJ Drama. Very reminiscent of Fade Away. Fade Away.
Okay, I've been there, I've done that. This rap shit had to get round from that. My therapy helping a boy unpack. Everybody gonna die, gonna go, I know. That's why I flow like a river. My liver can't take no.
Even interpolating the flow, sort of.
Back in the day in the trap, I was gripping the gat. As a matter of fact, I was dealing with hella anxiety. You know, go toe to toe with M. Homicide might have to go again. Student.
Hey, let's not get another homicide.
Barely afford rent. It's a true story, so don't pass it. Decade later, it's a classic. What can I say? I guess I won't fade away. All day,
every day.
Every day. We was on that block until we made a way. They gon' know my name until it
fade away. Fade away. Love it, love a good DJ Drama intro and outro. We got our toes out too. Nice little bit of production to close this out. Deja Vu was a nice one as well. I feel like this, you know, added a little bit of nostalgia in there once again with similar production elements to Fade Away. I believe it had the same vocal sample or the same like vocal instrument on the production and just straight up had the same hook, which was really nice. I guess that's why the song is called Deja Vu, right? It's revisiting a previous track, and I think it did so tastefully. Another one that in the lyrics touched on that theme of happiness, money not being able to buy it, no matter how much you make, if there's underlying issues, they will still be there. And I feel like that's a constant sort of back and forth in Logic's music at the moment, which completely makes sense. One thing I will say is I don't know if I want another homicide, alright? Logic and Eminem collab, actually, it would be cool to hear another one, but I don't think Homicide was the best one, alright? That was one of the ones that had a lot of filler bars from Logic, if you ask me. A lot of repetitiveness. Yeah, I mean, this was another one that was fun. It's off to a good start. So track number 4, we have a skit, Glorious Ultra Panavision, and we'll probably just let that run straight into track number 5, which I have heard, it's Fear.
Damn, man. That was a vibe. You really know your shit.
Hey, what can I say? I got good taste. Anxiety is normal, dude. I've had my fair share. Dude, Talking about it is what helps.
The next song is Fear as well, after that discussion about anxiety, so thematically it's kind of loosely tied together a little bit, but it works.
Take a minute and think about what you're doing and why you're doing it, why you're pursuing it. Is you really happy? I've been all around the world and back again. I'm rapping in a microphone to let them know that if you're coming at me, people think we gotta be the perception. What you need is an intervention. Everything that you're doing better be with intention. Oh no.
It's a nice listen. That production is great too. Then we have the little switch.
Doing shit we weren't supposed to do, getting high all night, then we turn on the local news.
And a lovely outro on this one.
I mean, all this shit is subjective. It's like asking someone who loves rap to have an open ear about heavy metal.
If you want CDTV Productions, a rap fan, to have a more open ear for heavy metal, you can join me on my paid request streams every Thursday around 1 PM EST. There was an opportunity for a plug here, so I had to do it. You can send me in any genre of music. Of course, it is a paid request stream, but even if you just want to stop by and just watch and offer your own opinions on the music we listen to, it's free to watch, so join us there.
Can't we agree to disagree?
If humanity could have done that, we wouldn't be floating through the nebula looking for a habitable planet.
Fear is a fun song to me. Like I said, it feels more everybody, because everybody had those more sort of commercial pop Logic type songs. This definitely fits into that mold, but I really like this one. First of all, it's just one single from the project and not everything on here sounds like that. And also I just think the production is really fun, particularly on the first half with those strings. It's just so up-tempo and upbeat that I can't help but get into it. I think Logic's flow is really smooth on the first verse. Even, again, if he's not even saying anything particularly new for his music, like take a minute and think about what you're doing and why you're doing it, why you're pursuing it, is you really happy? There's a little message to that, but it's a message Logic has said many times before. It's still good. Put it down as a potential favorite at the moment. Alright, because this album is starting off strong, and there might be more that I like even more than that throughout here, but I'll put it down at the moment. Let's see where we go next on track number 6, Favela. Classic MW2 map.
Heavy as the neck that wears the chain, gripping the grain, trying to maintain, filling his weed through the blood to my brain. The bitch in me is undetectable, I'm too respectable. Conceptual my albums be in the studio till round about 3. If I had a penny for my thoughts, then I'd be Elon Musk, rapping from dawn till dusk. You know when Dilla we trust. The illest memories, PS3 when grenades was getting thrown back. Modern Warfare 2 at the Favela was my escape.
Oh, it's actually based off of... Bro, I was just messing around at the start when I said it was a great MW2 map, but turns out that's actually where it gets its name from.
Hey, listen, I never passed 10th grade, but I still get the rent paid. You fake, I be real like Cypress Hill. Y'all weak like 5 + 2. Bust the door and rush through.
Not one of those bars, because there's 7 days in a week.
Fuck your life, think you could bother me, bitch, you couldn't even limit me. Smoking dope like a chimney, I've been me. Dilla we trust.
Ooh. Nice little bit of production at the end. So it turns out Favela does indeed get its name from the Modern Warfare 2 map, which for some reason, if you play Modern Warfare 2 now, if you play it on like Steam or whatever, you can never find a game on Favela. Every other map is in there, but Favela just never comes up anymore. But yeah, I thought this one was a decent track, you know, solid boom bap beat and just a straight up verse from Logic on this one. For the most part, I think it was a solid one in terms of the lyrics. But yeah, I don't know if it's one I would come back to a crazy amount. It felt more so like a freestyle verse. I think it was decent for what it was, but I definitely liked the previous, you know, 4 or 5 tracks more so. So let's get on to the next one. I have some hope for this one. Number 7 is Gardens 3. 5-minute long track, and it's a Logic song with numbers in the title, which is usually a good sign. So let's see how this one goes. Ooh. Interestingly weird production on this one. Feels like a weird stoner rap beat.
Jump on the Aquarius 3, it's just Quentin, Will, and me. Told them fuck the monotony, game of life a monopoly. Yes, I'm living it properly. Yes, I got changed by my neck, but first I invested in property. Never thought I grew up to be a fucking rap star. Little Bobby and Mastros eating caviar. Catalyst, give a fuck what your status is. A Vatican cadaver. It's the saddest part is you'll never decipher this poetic puzzle looks. Play the song when you need it, let it ring like an alarm. What's up? What's up? What's up? What's up? What's up? What's up?
I'm not sure how I feel about this one. It does have interesting production. Like I said, it's got like a weird stoner rap kind of vibe to it. I haven't listened to much Cypress Hill, but I imagine this is what their beats sound like. And I've never really got into their stuff, you know? Also one where I think the rhyme scheme and the lyrics felt very sort of like typical Logic to me, so nothing to stand out there.
Hello, my name is Adam, Artificial Tech Machina, Cybernetic Relations.
Okay, Adam, what do you know about anime?
Well, Captain.
Okay, and then that goes into Ghost in the Machine. All right, nice little touch there. So Gardens 3 was one that I maybe need just a little bit to get used to the production. The lyrics, I didn't find them particularly interesting on this one. It just felt like typical Logic flows where he says a lot of words without saying too much, and it just sounds kind of cool. So not a lot to really sink your teeth into with it, I feel like. A bit of a skippable one for me at the moment. So the first 5 tracks is really where the main strengths lie for me right now, but there's still a lot left to go. So track number 8, Ghost in the Machine, and this one features Robert Ivory and Ade.
All the time, all the time, all the time, Rap Pack, what up? Time is a drug and it's finite, so that's why I write about my present now so clean, but now they all know me. The money that I got, the money that I got.
Is this one of those cases where they could only use the sample if the song was clean? Because every curse has been censored so far.
This for the kid in the dorm room with a dream of his own, and so keep it real all the time and remember who you am, who you ain't.
Nice verse, really nice production on this one.
East side, west side, we ride, we die, all for this.
What song is that again? It's one of the Bobby Tarantino ones.
All my life I
Slave?
stayed inside for this.
I like the callbacks to Logic's previous music in here. Having Robert Ivory do this with this really nice delivery is cool too.
Had to find a way to cheat the status quo, still with the static though. Play the corner like Avante Maddox where the addicts go. A long way from Briggs Cheney, where rolling up Bush was my vice like Dick Cheney. I was living insane. For the money I
This
took
is a
to tame,
really
mama couldn't
smooth
tame me.
verse.
Gotta fix her kitchen floor, here go 3,000 more. Feel good to step up, make up what she can't afford. Keep it a buck, this is what it's all for.
Okay, Ghost in the Machine was a nice one. That beat as well. Hey, Ghost in the Machine might be another favorite. I think everybody did great on here. The production was absolutely lovely. Loved the sample that was in there. And I would presume that the sample use is what caused this to be a completely clean track, because every time Logic said a curse word, it was censored on here. I don't think there were any in Ade's verse, and there was none in the Robert Ivory interpolation from Slave 2 by Logic from the first Bobby Tarantino mixtape. I thought Robert Ivory did a great job with this interpolation. Loved his singing delivery of that. Logic's verse was really smooth. I think Logic sounded really good over this instrumental, and Ade's verse I feel like was very meaningful, and he delivered his lyrics very smoothly, and it just sounded so good. So Ghost in the Machine, that's a really good one. I like that. And again, just has that beautiful cinematic sound to it, which I really like. So, next one, also another callback to Logic's previous music. Track number 9 is Innerstellar, featuring Lucy Rose, which is a reference to Intermission, featuring Lucy Rose, which is a great track from The Incredible True Story.
In a hotel room, contemplating my death. I've been on tour so long, feel like ain't nothing left. When I'm riddled with anxiety, it's hard to find sobriety. I'm being honest now entirely. Children grow up, go to work, then forget how to play. A lot of people that I meet tell me about their dreams. Be nicer to yourself, show humility. While you compare yourself to others on the screen, you can put that phone down, look around and feel serene. It's okay to wake up sad, but it's a lot of people that woke up today in body bags. 332,648 to be exact. Living it now if you can. I find it hard myself, but I'm just trying to lend a hand.
Lovely production on this one. So that was an interesting one right there. That was probably the deepest one on the project so far. I think Lucy Rose had a fantastic hook on here. Her vocals always just sound great. And then Logic just had a whole verse about sort of depression and suicidal thoughts. It's a song, I guess, about trying to shift your perspective a bit more to the positive, but it is an understanding track because Logic is talking about this is what he goes through, and he says, you know, I find it hard myself, but I'm just trying to lend a hand. So it feels like Logic talking about his thought process and how he tries to think about these things and sort of giving that out as advice, being like, I know it's hard, but this is how I try and look at it, you know? Innerstellar was a pretty nice one, and like I said, one of the more emotional ones on the project, had a really smooth sound to the production. That was an enjoyable one. Let's see where that takes us on to the next track, number 10, In Retrospect.
Here we are, money record it, let the people absorb it. I'm morbid and with more of it on the 101 floor. And it furthest from innovative. No wonder the people hate it. In the back of the Mercedes getting faded. When it comes to the flow, you know I confiscated and made it better. I'm talking about you don't like logic, bitch, what the fuck do you mean? Why you listening to me? Then why you watching on your screen? You see, I know you're not a hater, not really, not deep down. Maybe you was molested, even beaten as a child. And when you see other people that's happy, it drives you wild. How do I know this? Cause I myself was beaten and molested. God drugged me through the fire every day I was tested. That reflects who you wish you really was, but even clearer, it makes you uncomfortable that I'm comfortable with who I am. And the reason you obsess, you're my biggest fan. So my advice is seek therapy and find clarity.
I don't know, so that whole section was a little weird. It's a track where I feel like the messaging of it is quite strange because it seems like a brag rap track at certain points saying, haha, the haters see me winning and they're mad at me. But then it turns into, are they mad at me because I'm very happy but they were beaten and molested? Like, strange place to take it. It doesn't feel great commenting on it because Logic talked about his own experience with that on this song, which is, you know, a very deep and personal thing. It just strikes me as an odd way to take it, to like project that onto people that dislike your music, you know? Okay, so In Retrospect was one that I think had solid production, had a nice chorus to it, but the verse I just didn't really feel like it did much at all. I feel like it's maybe just stretched a little bit thin. Like, this was an entire verse about people who hate him. I don't know, it's just a topic that he's covered before. It's not super interesting to me. So let's get to the next one, track number 11, 44 Ever. This was one of the singles, you know, the other one except from Fear that I did hear on this project, and yeah, it's just a standard Bobby Tarantino 3 style banger, where it's got, you know, a more trap style beat and Logic kind of rapping fast, showcasing some smooth flows, but again, not really saying much. So let's give it a listen.
Hey, day one, this for my day ones. Fuck about the fake ones, fight to the one, come get it done, no one ever run. Motherfucker finna run and get the gun when they hear that boy spitting, he shitting himself.
Reminds me of Vaccine from Bobby Tarantino 3.
Coming for the boy like, woo. Coming for the boy like, hey. Everybody want a little bit of the way to do it, and not like me. Everybody want a little bit of the boy, but nowadays they just can't fuck with me. I can give a motherfucker.
It's a nice little flow at this part.
I'm finally free. Fuck they rhyming about. I'm a rat till I can't even speak.
44 Ever, I'm not putting it in my least favorites because I don't think it's a bad song, and in the context of the album it works fine. It's just like a basic kind of trap style banger, just past the midway point of the album to have another quick rapid fire energetic one. I think it's just a bad choice for a single from the project because when I listened to 44 Ever I was like, oh dear, I hope this is not what Ultra 85 is going to be. And it's mostly not been that so far, which is good, but it literally just feels like a Bobby Tarantino 3 leftover. It's a good flow showcase. There is some cool flows throughout there, but again, really doesn't say much. I think it actually works okay in the context of the album. Didn't love it as a single. In the album, it's fine. Let's see where we take it going into track number 12, which is Love Me.
Give me a moment to think, give me a moment to blink, give me a moment to get it all together. I can't get it done, no I can't get none. Feel like Rudy on the run from the destra hand. Don't test me, man. I'ma take him to another plane of existence, off in the distance. Bump a JD and New best and nothing else. I make this shit for the homies and myself. Didn't want anything I had, didn't want anything I gave. Had me feeling like a slave. But he loving underdog to the underdog on top. Then they wanna see him drop it, him behind bars and never free him. Tee him up for destruction, like Doc D at the function. I want them to love me. 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 I just want them to love me.
Love Me was nice. I loved the drums that it had in there, sort of like drum and bass style with the very up-tempo sound to them. That was great. The production was nice. There was even some deliveries and flows from Logic on here that I feel like sounded a little different. He was rapping slightly more in a talking style where his voice was a little bit more low, and I actually think it sounded really smooth, especially with how clean Logic can flow. It's a track that I think is nice. I enjoyed it. Wouldn't say it's a favorite, but it was fun enough, you know? Track number 13 is the Planet Death skit, and we're going to let that run into track number 14, which is Teleport. This next one is a 3-minute and 12-second skit. My God.
Are you not entertained?
About to go toe-to-toe with these...
So they've landed in some trouble.
Aim for their hearts!
Game over. You're dead. Game over. You're
God
dead.
damn.
Okay, so it was like a simulation or a game. Okay. Cool sound design on the skit, I guess. Definitely quite long, especially when it's just them playing a game within the story, but the sounds were cool on there. It was well done.
Bitch, you bugging me like zit zit. Zit, 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 zit. Bitch, you bugging me like zit zit. So what you mean? Gotta get my green, gotta get my mind right. I'm a fiend for the light, head to the light. It might seem what I like, but it's not. Everybody wanna get, but they don't got discipline. Bitch, they bugging out like zit, 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 zit. Can sacrifice the soul of Bobby. Now I be bugging out, bugging like zit, zit.
Are we gonna keep coming back to that?
On top of the world, and got a divorce in front of the world, and get a new girl. And what do I see? My face on the cover of TMZ. Private jet, bad bitch and me. Bugging out like zit, zit. Zit, zit. 7 years old, I'm covered in blood. A man on the floor, my mama in jail, and I'm all alone. Dirt under my nails, no food on the table. My people have failed. Teleport. 10 years old, man, the world so cold, and I got no money. Teleport. 8 years old in the basement with my daddy. Girlfriend, she big breasted, shoved her tongue all the way down my prepubescent throat. I was molested. Teleport. Mama got arrested. Teleport. Now I'm 28 at the garden, and it's sold out. Like some people say I did with my career. I'm not defined by my past. This a different me, and you can teleport the fuck up out my face if you feel differently.
Alright, Teleport brought it around with that last verse. That was a really cool idea. I feel like the fourth verse on this song is basically what the whole track should have been, because Logic would have like a teleport ad-lib in there, and whenever he said that, it would switch to a different point in his life, and we would jump back and forth between these different ages. It was a really cool way of storytelling, but for like the entire first half of the song, so much of it was disrupted for me by the zzz. I get it, you know, bitch, you bugging me, bugging, bugs, zzz, you know, bug sounds, but those bug sounds are inherently annoying, so I feel like it always just irritated me whenever that came up on the track. It's really a track of two halves. The first half, ironically enough, it bugged me, but the fourth verse with the teleport concept, that really brought it around for me. So, track number 15, Chess Skit, and that goes into track number 16, Antidote. Don't you open up that window. Let's go.
Knight G6.
Oh no, Kai.
Bitch, why you want business? I'm trying to win this game of chess.
Queen F7. That's mate.
Man, what the fuck, man?
Alright, and then Antidote featuring Zalippers.
You got that whack shit in your playlist, this the antidote. My bitch is bad as fuck, got 2 kids sipping, yeah, she smoke.
Rocket Rhythm, John Travolta, get high, time and responsible. A lead in the beat, rock the boat.
Reminds me of Contra a little bit. The darker sounding strings and the trap sound.
Only fucking with the cloud, cause your money running out. I see the drought, the fuck you talking about? Everyone know you ain't no talking like everywhere I look. The people quick really wanna take from us. Need a break, need a escape, need a cupcake, but you can't escape the fate. I got my shirt off in this hole like I'm D'Angelo.
Antidote was a decent banger. I liked that one. I think Logic had a pretty cool sounding hook on it. Zalippers reminds me almost of Danny Brown a little bit, with that same kind of delivery that I feel like might take a bit of time to grow on people, might take a bit of time to grow on me. And Logic had a fine verse. So let's see what we get on the next one, track number 17, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. Logic's Tarantino love continues.
Keep the law, cinematic metaphor. 9 years since I did the incredible true story. Now let me break down my career through the films in this category. Which God could have re-edited that shot? I guess not. The LOGIC. Open your mind like Orenishi. See, I discovered hip-hop through volume 1. Tarantino hit the RZA, left the whole world stunned. Now I heard of Wu-Tang, but never truly knew the gang. Soon smoking my lungs like Mr. White. I'm far from Mr. Right. My childhood home, really honestly, I don't miss the psych pack. What they call us, a boss like Marcellus Wallace. Dropping jewels like bad motherfucker is on my wallet. Felt like my heyday passed, and then my wife says it has. You'll never have the passion that you had, cause you were trying to make it out, now end up like your mom and dad. Cause ain't no way that you can do what you've been done. The only thing that I'm that passionate about these days, my son. So my favorite Tarantino movie used to be Kill Bill. I felt like Beatrix while on my way to the top of this hill. Now I'm older and wiser, adult and walking up the driveway. I'll never have the passion I once did, it's understood, it's all good. Once upon a time in Hollywood.
Honestly, I feel like Once Upon a Time in Hollywood would work pretty nicely as an outro track for the album. You know, it had the length, 5.5 minutes, and it also had this theme of basically telling the story of Logic's career through using a lot of metaphors and similes related to Tarantino movies, which is, you know, another one of the things that Logic is very passionate about. And as somebody who has seen most of the Tarantino films, it's a pretty rewarding listen. I just haven't seen Death Proof, Jackie Brown, and Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. All the other ones, seen those. Once Upon a Time in Hollywood was, of course, the most significant one covered in here, so I wouldn't have caught all the references, but I think generally still the idea of the track to me made sense, you know? So yeah, really cool concept, a nice sort of songwriting exercise right here, and I think that would have worked as an outro, but we still have 3 more tracks left that are around 5 minutes long, so hopefully they also have a bit more of a finale feeling like this one did, but I think that could have worked as a final track on the project. We'll put that down as a favorite. So track number 18 is Logic's slogan, peace, love, and positivity.
In the back of this bus, I'm busting my mind open, hoping these lyrics connect like Tetris effect. Retrospect got me in a state of constant reflection. My mama wildin' while I'm trying to find my style in the game. While the legends was killing it, I was crawling in the game. You ain't no nigga, we're never no nigga. I could give a fuck about what childhood trauma that is trigger. Your brothers is niggas, your sisters is niggas. Whoever you are listening that needed this right now, I love you. Don't ever let the world put negativity above you. Just be yourself unapologetically. Never stop, no, never give up your dream. And no matter the adversity, you'll always reign supreme. What?
We work for a better future. Someday I hope to touch grass and swim in oceans.
Peace, love, and positivity was okay. Another one that covered what I think has become one of the most maybe repetitive topics in Logic's music recently, which I completely understand it, but it's basically Logic giving his opinions on people that hate on him for certain things. Here it was Logic's use of the N-word because he appears to be white despite his biracialness, and there was a big section of the verse that was about that. Basically just covered people's opinions on him, which has been a topic that has been the subject of so much of his 2019 music and onward, I want to say, over a nice enough beat. There is one thing about this album that I'm curious to see how I feel about it on a re-listen, but once again, I am having that feeling of it may be feeling a bit over long. I feel like the length takes away from it in some ways, especially when you got like a 3-minute long skit in here that kind of sounds like it's something significant, but then it turns out it's just them playing a video game. That kind of robs a little bit away from it, because Logic typically, while he does have a very versatile flow, tends to rap about stuff in a very similar way, tends to rap quite often in the same way, so it feels a bit long. But let's see where we go on track number 19. This once again features Robert Ivory. It's City in the Stars, which of course reminds me of City of Stars from The Incredible True Story, which is a track that I really enjoy. So let's see what we get on here.
You gon' be a star, shooting from afar. Lacking in the masses, the richest faster with a lower class is clapping for them, pouring to their pockets, double tapping on their watches, never stopping, steady clocking in a job.
I've never heard of Robert Ivory before this album, but I like what he's doing.
And I don't wanna fall. I just wanna make it, I just wanna make it, I just wanna make it. I'm a motherfucking take it, they don't take it when I want. And some niggas wearing suits to get paid for the crime.
Come on, tell me what it really means to understand the reason he wanna make it by any means. Living a dream, thinking that I can do anything I wanted. Homies getting blunted. I was writing rhymes and hoping that I stunned it, never confronted what I really wanted. A mama and a daddy. I know I'd be the only one that ever did it like I done it. Track 16 on The Incredible True Story. I wanted to know he's well from afar. You gon' be a star.
Smooth verse from Logic. That's a nice one.
The Order of the Ultra 85.
City in the Stars was a nice one. Robert Ivory has been really good on this album. Somebody that I've never heard of before, but he was great on Ghost in the Machine and really good here. Super smooth sound to his voice, very nice sound to it. Was absolutely going off, had a great hook and a great verse on here. And I thought Logic also matched that, going for a more smooth, airy sound to his verse as well. City in the Stars was one that I think just sounded lovely. I'll write that down as a favorite. I think that would be really nice on a revisit, and I think I'll like it even more listening to it as a song on its own, because I think that's one you could appreciate outside of the album as well. So let's see what we close out on with track number 20, Thank You for Believing in Me.
I remember I didn't believe in myself, but you was right there believing in me. I know you think you know it all. Running your mouth behind my back, you just mad you not involved. You don't know me if you ain't never come around my block to stop it.
Ooh. It's a nice way to end that there. Nice outro. Kind of like the closing credits.
Well, boys, it looks like we finally come to the end of this chapter.
See you on the next one. cowboy.
Thank You for Believing in Me worked as a sort of, I would say, like the outro credits, you know, the closing credits music for the album. It was one that was mainly just focused on singing Logic, which I'm not sure if I love a lot of the tracks that are just Logic singing for the whole thing, but I think it worked. And then we had the last outro skit to close it out. And that's the end of Ultra 85 right there. So let's get into my initial thoughts on this album and how I'm feeling on it after this first listen. I think that was a pretty good listen. I do think it was a little bit long, but I'm curious to see how it feels just listening to it from track 1 through to 20 in, you know, just a regular listen. So it has a lot of length to it, and I'm not sure if the amount of content that the album had really matched up to that length, but I still think it was a nice listen, and I'm not disappointed by what Ultra 85 was, definitely not. If we're talking about like an initial rating off of a first listen, which once again, absolutely subject to change after more listens, it could go down, could go up, could stay the same, but I'm probably feeling somewhere around a 7 for this album. I think that's maybe where I'm sitting with it. Definitely more on the positive end. I mean, if we look at my favorite and least favorite tracks, the favorites outweigh the least favorites. Favorites here, I've got Paul Rodriguez, Fear, Ghost in the Machine, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, and City in the Stars. And for my least favorite on the album, I have In Retrospect. And also at the moment, I might put Gardens 3 on there. One that could grow on me, but at the moment, I'm not really feeling it that much. The sound of it just didn't really work for me all that much. But like, I think this was pretty solid for what it was, you know, very nice cinematic production throughout for the most part. I did somewhat miss hearing a Logic album that goes in a more cinematic direction like The Incredible True Story, because like I said, his past couple of projects have been more old school boom bap focused, like Vinyl Days and like College Park, which I didn't have a problem with. I enjoyed it on those projects, but it is nice to hear him sort of return a little bit to his older sound. The content that's covered in the album, I feel like isn't necessarily anything new. It's a lot of stuff we've heard from Logic before. Towards the end of the album, that was one of the things that made it feel very slightly like it dragged for me, just because he had pretty long verses talking about a lot of the stuff he's usually talked about with a standard Logic flow, with some standard Logic lyrics in there. And with the output that this man has had, the amount of music that he's dropped, it's something I'm very familiar with. But the sound of it was beautiful enough that I think the album is a solid one. It's a good addition to Logic's discography. The story that went throughout it with the skits, you know, the whole Thomas and Kai story, I don't feel like it was anything necessarily groundbreaking. It was just the prequel to The Incredible True Story, and I think it worked kind of fun as that. I don't think there were any major revelations within the story here, not as far as I could tell, but I'm not as up to date on the story, or I don't keep up with it as much as other Logic fans may. But at the end, it felt like it just kind of ended. It didn't feel like we really went anywhere with the story. I think it's an album that started off strong and ended strong, and then I'm more slightly mixed on the middle portion of the album. I wouldn't say it's one of Logic's absolute best albums to me, but it's definitely up there as a good one in his discography. It's a cool album. So, what did you guys think about Ultra 85? Let me know down in those comments below whether you liked it or didn't like it. I'd be interested to hear your thoughts on it. With that being said, you can click on the screen right here to check out my reaction to Vultures 2. That was a fun one, and much love to my channel members and Patreon supporters over there, with a special shout out to I Am Regent, KWG13270, Lucas1123, Nail Striker, and Not Vimpan.